Guys,
Yes.
welcome to Live with Kyle and Alex. Today we have Wheel of Fortune contestant and swim coach of the Tucson Country Club, Miss Robyn Burton. Robyn, how's it going?
Going really well. How are you guys?
It's
Wonderful.
going.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this Wheel of Fortune, I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Kyle actually, it was kind of a strange story that I had always wanted to be on Wheel of Fortune. And then my parents had called me that week to ask if, like, because they thought maybe my spin ID had been up. So they would ask me to check the spin ID. And when I saw the website, I was like, oh, that'd be cool to be a contestant. And like the next day, Kyle came down to the pool and said, oh, the Wheelmobile's in town this weekend. And so like the rest of the like went that weekend. I was like, oh, I'm like, wow, that's just kind of serendipitous. We're gonna totally go. So stage in the first show, I was the 44th out of 45 names called. So like, I mean, I thought I was gonna have to come back for another audition, like they do it an hour at a time. And I wasn't sure how committed I was to staying for another show. Yeah, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And I was like number 44 out of 45 that they called up on stage. So it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds kind of exciting. Kyle always knows when those TV shows like The Voice or something, or Wheel of Fortune is in town.
Yeah. Well, and it's, in LA to go to one of those, it's a madhouse. There's just a bazillion people everywhere. There's a line down the street. So I just never did it when I lived in LA. And then I was like, well, how crowded could it be in Tucson? And there were still, probably like 300, 400 people, right, Kyle?
Oh.
About, and they had like 3 shows a day, and yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of energy. See what's kind of behind the scenes,
Yeah, it was a hoot. It was a hoot. So, yeah, I got up on stage and I had said that I liked karaoke, so he put me on the spot and he made me sing karaoke. So I belted out, Jolene with no music. People I don't even know. I guess that's the kind of thing they're looking for.
So
I kind of thought to myself, if they don't call me back for a second audition, I don't know what they're looking for then.
So are you originally from Los Angeles?
Yes, I'm from Santa Clarita.
Me too. I'm from Hollywood.
Yes, yeah. And grew up in Santa Clarita, lived in San Diego for 10 years, and then moved back home when my son was young to Santa Clarita. And we've been here in Tucson now 5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Los Angeles is kind of, I don't know if I could go back there now.
I don't think so. Yeah, the one thing I do miss is like the beach sometimes. But, when I lived there, I didn't really even like the beach. So I'm, it's like, well, I did like to camp by the beach, not necessarily swim in it, but I do miss the ocean. And the fact that there really aren't a whole lot of lakes around here.
That's kind of the way it happens. You don't miss it until it's gone.
Exactly.
When I was growing up, I could go to Disneyland free, ride everything out there free, because my uncle was the chief chef at the Disneyland Hotel, and he would get passes all the time, all the while I was growing up. Never wanted to go, but when he passed away and I couldn't go to Disneyland free anymore, then I wanted to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Santa Clarita is the home of Magic Mountain, and I grew up there. We get season passes in the summer, and Mom would drop you off at like 11 in the morning, pick you up at 2 or 3 for swim practice, but go out there like during the week when there were no crowds and ride all the rides, and it was a lot of fun.
So what got you into swimming?
I actually started swimming when I was about 5 or 6. There was my parents' home was right over the wall from the homeowners association clubhouse, and they had a summer league. And when I was like, I can remember it pretty vividly, like there was a swim meet going on, so my parents had taken me over to check it out. And I remember they had bushes like against the wrought iron fence, and I just remember kind of going between the bushes and like looking through the fence at this swim meet going on. And I thought, man, that looks like a lot of fun. And so the next year they signed me up for it. And within my first couple meets, like I was, just getting kind of, heat ribbons and not really the top. But by the time I was done with my first year of swimming, I was winning the events and like showing. So I pretty much just took off from there, and started at 6 and swam all the way through high school.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've been afraid of the water for years. I took a swimming class. I could save myself, but I am nowhere near close to being a fish.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. I like to, it's funny because I actually have done lessons with like adults, and it's a different learning curve because they're, the way that they learn is different, and they usually are a lot more focused than children. But how many times somebody has been like, oh, swimming so hard, and then they realize it's because you're fighting with the water. You're not, you're like just flying, and you're like, no wonder you're exhausted. No wonder you're tired. And once they realize like fluid mechanics or things like that, all of a sudden they're like, that's like, I enjoy swimming now. And so I really like it when people have that flip flop. I've had triathletes and stuff because they're like, oh, I'm so exhausted after the first leg of a triathlon. And by the time you just fix their stroke a little, they're, it's a lot easier for them to maintain energy and stuff left over for the rest of the race.
Right. Well, for somebody like me that is terrified of water, what advice would you have for crazy old and young people that are afraid of water?
It's something you see a lot. I've seen, people that are afraid of water just because they've never been in it. I've seen kids that are afraid of water because they've actually had an almost near drowning. And you just have to desensitize. It takes time. That they have to get to a point where they're not as apprehensive to try something new in the water. Because like I said, once things like, floating and just, moving through the water without a whole lot of resistance kind of becomes second nature, then you start to feel really comfortable. So biggest thing is a lot of people don't want water in their face. So that's kind of the first hurdle.
Yes, absolutely.
Getting that face in.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. It's not easy.
Not at all. I'm almost to the point where I just shower instead of taking a bath because I don't want to be in that water. I'm in the water. No.
True. No, and for me, it's so weird because, like my mom told me that when I took lessons, because they had put me in swim lessons because we had a pool in the backyard and I hated it. I apparently cried the whole time and my mom was like, oh, this will never work. And once I jumped in, it was like, it was all over. So to me, it's so unusual when I do meet people, especially if they're, older, that say, oh, I don't swim. I'm afraid of the water, or I don't know how to swim. I'm like, oh, wow. Like just because it's always been such like an integral part of my life. To me, I'm always kind of shocked, but working with those people is usually very rewarding because they do. I mean, you take somebody's fear and then they find out that there was nothing to be that afraid of. And that's really awesome.
Right.
So what made you move to Tucson and leave the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California?
The beautiful city of Los Angeles.
Yes.
The great, beautiful city of Los Angeles.
Yes. Santa Clarita is actually called Awesome Town, so. But no, originally I was working as a veterinary technician. I've been a veterinary technician for about 20 years, and I was working in specialty ER ICU. And, I wasn't necessarily looking to move, but my best friend lived out here and she kind of started talking to me about, quality of life because there were so many outdoor activities, the fact that it was going to obviously be a lot cheaper. And, hopefully, it was just different, and my son was like 15 or I think he was 16 when we moved. So he was never a big school kid. So we thought maybe if we give him a new school and a new kind of, change of pace. So that kind of motivated me to think about it. And then I applied to a hospital here in town, and it was like, again, serendipitous. Like when I called, they were looking for somebody to start a neurology unit. Which would have, ER ICU, you have crazy hours, you've got 12-hour shifts, you work overnights. And this would have been like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, pretty, like a lot more manageable. And plus I'd got to be the head, it was like my department to do and create what I wanted. So, and I also got to work with one of my favorite, like this anesthesiologist that I had always admired from going to conferences and watching her speak. She's brilliant. Her name's Dr. Victoria Lukasik. And this was her home hospital. So I was going to get to work hand in hand with her to like create anesthesia protocols and all kinds of stuff. So it was really kind of like a exciting, I couldn't pass it up. And it was a lateral move from California to there. So, I was clearly, doing okay. Like financially, it was going to be a different bulk. So that was just an opportunity that I kind of had to do it. It was like, I didn't want to look back later and say, what if? So.
Wow, sounds like you know the ins and outs of this virus then if you were a hospital a hospital worker.
My friends are still working down there at they work at Veterinary Specialists of the Valley over there in Woodland Hills, and they're still there. They all, post their pictures with their masks on. But unfortunately, it has changed veterinary medicine. Like it's not an easy thing right now because, people can't be with their pets. They have to wait outside. Right. There's a lot of things that have changed. They're having to give horrible diagnoses like over the phone, where before we would meet you'd meet in a room to talk to them about cancer options or lymphoma options. And now, unfortunately, it's telemedicine, which, and a lot of people, if they're out of work, can't afford, just even nominal things. So there's a lot of strain just, even in the vet field for them right now. So more power to them. I'm not working in the vet field right now, but, my heart goes out to all my friends that are still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you also coach for a high school.
Yes.
So after hearing the closure of all the high schools down right now, it's like, we have no job. So like, what did you have anything to back you up on that?
So the one thing I didn't, our swim, it was
it's in the winter.
Yeah, okay. In the winter. The high school team I coached for Hart High School in Santa Clarita before I moved here. Their whole season's been wiped out. Their span from February. This week would have been their prelims. They would have been in league finals and prelims, and their whole season. I think they worked out like 2 weeks before the schools were completely closed. So, but no, I mean, unfortunately, I've taken a hit because as you probably know, the Tucson Country Club pool is closed right now. The only thing is at least, we're interviewing for lifeguards and stuff via Zoom. So, I'm getting here and there. And, but yeah, I'll be happy when, we can be back out there and I can see the kids. And I mean, I think things are going to be very different this year, though. Unfortunately, it's not going to be reminiscent of any summer that anybody's ever seen,
We're in a different world.
Yeah, and we have a meeting next week, whether we can even have swim meet, because, you have 2 teams of like 100 swimmers and their families on deck. I don't see them allowing us to do that before mid-June, maybe. I don't know. So it'll be real interesting to see. I like my general manager tells me, and I kind of like the way he said it, we just have to react. Like we can't be proactive, but we just have to react well.
That's well said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, how are you dealing with the pandemic? I mean, how are you yourself your family dealing with it?
We're doing okay. My son is 21, and he's actually working. He's considered an essential worker. He works for Larry H. Miller Dodge as a car detailer, and they still have people coming in for service. What's really strange is the new cars are flying off the shelf, which shocks me. So, he was deemed essential. He got his little "I can go to work" letter.
Yeah, I love it.
But so he's been working, and I, basically what's nice is I'm actually taking a class to become an EMT right now. So at least I've got, Monday and Wednesday I'm online doing classes. So I have stuff to kind of occupy my brain. And, I get out there anytime I can. We spent all of last Friday up at Reddington, just outside, just brought our camping chair. And that's, rather than sitting in the house watching TV, talking, like we just said, forget it, let's go.
Right.
So trying to do that as much as possible.
Right.
Change that.
I was on a walk. I walk in the morning. I totally stay away from people and just get a little walk in the morning.
Yes.
And I saw something I thought was quite interesting. I was walking down Albanon, as a matter of fact, and there was an apartment building in this nice patch of grass. It was a nice piece of grass there. And there was a couple out on the grass in front of the apartment building, cars going by on Albanon and everything. And they had a blanket out with chairs, and they had a little picnic basket on the grass in front of, I'm sure, in front of their apartment building.
Yeah.
And they were picnicking in their apartment, in the grass in front of the apartment. And cars going down Albanon were waving at them and everything. I thought it was great.
I think that's fantastic.
So I wanted to pass that on to everybody, to how to deal with the pandemic. They were just on the front lawn,
Absolutely.
picnicking on Albanon. It was great.
We spent Easter out in our front yard. We brought out our little block rocker, and it was such a beautiful day that we were like, we could sit in the house or we could sit in chairs in the driveway. And it was
Exactly.
a great day. We had a good time.
It's funny because what was it? March, I think it was. We're supposed to do a triathlon up in Anthem, Arizona. My mom and some family and etc. They canceled it, but it was like the day right before. We were all up there getting ready to swim, getting ready to run, bike, and all that. And we were reading. It's like chlorine doesn't affect the virus. It doesn't hurt anyone. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you think about it, like, what are they telling you to kill the virus with? Chlorine, bleach.
Right.
Say. I mean, not that the pool is as strong as, straight chlorine bleach, but, I find that if you keep social distancing in a pool, you're probably not doing too bad. I mean, as long as you're not sharing the wall with, 6 or 7 of your closest friends face to face. I feel like, but, people need to be out there doing exercise anyway. I mean, it's a great idea to think that you can just do your home gym and, ride on your lawn. But it's like, I think even in 1918, they knew that they would take the patients out during the day in their beds so that they could get sun, because sun and heat and UV kills the virus. So, the fact that people are afraid to, like you said, just go have a picnic on your lawn. Just get out there in the warm sun.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I have been trying to figure out that I can't seem to get an answer to, and I don't know if anybody can help me with this. I noticed that all on the news and all of the senators, the president, who's ever speaking on the news, police officials, or they're on the news, and most of them have all these people behind them in kissing distance. They're not social distancing, and none of them are wearing masks.
Nope.
So why are they asking us to wear the mask and they don't wear them? It appears that what they say is meant for us and not for them.
Absolutely.
I haven't been able to figure out, why aren't the officials doing what they're telling us to do? I haven't seen with a mask other than they're in a hospital and they're dealing with patients. Of course they're in a mask. But why not on the news? Why doesn't President Trump or Vice President Pence or the congressman and everybody that's behind them on the stage, they're in close proximity, kissing distance, and no one is wearing a mask? Why? I can't figure that out.
No, I can't either. And what's funny is if you look in the audience, they actually have the reporters socially distanced.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, but they're not. 15 of them on stage, and they're in kissing distance.
Oh yeah.
And they're telling you the importance of wearing a mask and the importance of washing your hands, the importance of this, the importance of that. And do you know, I've never heard anybody talk about the importance of the dirtiness and the filthiness of the one of the most filthiest things on the planet, which is money. They
Hmm.
say, we can't go to China, we can't go here, we can't go there and come back. But nobody told the dollar bill
Yep.
that dollar that it can't, and it goes all over the world, all of the pandemic headquarters in the world, and comes back to us, and we handle it, and we grab the money.
Yep.
I was actually in this fast food place, and this lady was cleaning where you the
Register.
kiosk where you order instead of the register, you order at the kiosk. She was cleaning the register with the gloves on and this spray. And so I went over to the cash register to order, and she said, "Oh, would you like to order over there or the kiosk?" I said, "I'd rather order at the cash register." So she took off her glove, came over, took my money at the register, the filthiest thing in the world, took her gloves off to take my money and put it in the register and give me change. And I asked her, I said, "Do you realize what you just did? You were over there with gloves on, and then you took them off to come here and take the filthiest thing on the planet, and you took your gloves off for it."
Yep.
And she goes, "Oh my God, I really did." But nobody talks about not touching the money.
No.
Because, and my theory is, this is me and me alone. I think they haven't said anything about not touching the filthy money because they want it circulated.
Yes.
Right.
They don't.
Absolutely.
They do not
There are
want
some
you
germaphobes that may completely
circulate
stop.
that dollar. I mean, it's like, okay, we don't care if you die, but can you circulate that $500 before you go? So that's my theory there. You know.
Well, and you do. I mean, you see a lot of, I mean, unfortunately, what it is, I mean, in the medical field, you learn how to use gloves. You kind of learn what good glove protocol is, and you learn how to like apply a mask. I see people do just the craziest things out in public. You
Yes.
know, it's like they are touching everything with their gloved hands, and then they like remove their mask with like their fingers underneath the mask, and you're just like, so all the germs on your hands are now on the inside of that mask, and you're now putting it on your face.
Yes.
So even if you're not going to get corona, you just got whatever you were touching.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I mean, but and what it is that people just like they don't realize that
Yeah.
the layman person doesn't know how a virus moves around.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you really see. I just all the time see like just go out with a mask, like just do it.
So, Wheel of Fortune, how was it like to be, in front of, Vanna White and Pat Sajak,
You
Good
know,
question.
it was awesome. So I got lucky. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, you're there all day. It's an all-day taping. They tape 6 shows a day. And I think they do it like Monday through Thursday when they're doing the tapings. So basically an entire week's worth of shows is taped in one day. And it's very random how you go about getting on those shows. I don't want to give too much away because they like their, privacy and stuff like that. But there's like a lot of randomness to like how you end up with the group that you're with, and then where you're going to actually stand on stage. And I was lucky; I actually got to stand right next to Pat Sajak. And it's odd when you see these people in person. Vanna White came in the morning and she had no makeup on and she was like eating her oatmeal with a chocolate donut in it. Beautiful. Like she had her hair up in a messy bun, and she turned around and looked at all of us, and all of us were like, "Oh!" And just like she's such a neat person. Like you could just tell, like she's just a very good hearted, wonderful person. She calls her 90-year-old dad every morning to tell him good morning. She's just salt of the earth kind of. And then Pat Sajak is, it'll be sad when we get to a point where he doesn't run that show because there's just, I can't explain, like, cause you're nervous when you get up there. And the stage is a lot. I mean, it's just so much smaller than you would think it is. That wheel is just so heavy. Hard to spin that wheel. You spend like part of the morning just spinning the wheel, like so you can get that hang up. Because the first time you try it, you're like, oh, it's like a hot mess. And it's really hard for left-handed people. Like they have to have teach them like a special technique. But he really is like, he comes up and he's and again, always, they're always smaller than you think they are, you know, like he's like not much taller than I am. And he is like, he's a character. He is a funny guy. Because when I was on the show, I got hammered by the wheel. I had the $1 million wedge and I guessed a couple vowels like you're supposed to, and I knew what the puzzle was, but I had to spin for like, I just wanted to make sure I knew what the puzzle was. And the instant I spun the wheel, I got bankrupt.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Guy, and he gets it. And what was really funny about that one was it was swimming upstream with the fish, or salmon swimming upstream. And Pat Sajak totally clowned me like during the like break. He's like, or I think he even said it on the show. He's like, Robyn's over there like, that was mine, because I'm and so when we were, you know, because in between when the commercials, like, you know, they fix your makeup, you feel like a superstar because they do your makeup, and you've got your little lady with the powder puffs, and you just feel all awesome. And they kind of like tell you how you did. They give you little pointers, and they're kind of like your rah coaches. And when we were waiting during that break, he's like, oh, you know, that was rough. And I said, yeah. I'm like, well, you know, easy come, easy go. And he goes, well, everyone here looks good and I look good. And let's be honest, I'm a shallow man and that's all that matters. He is just, I love it. And like, I just don't know that, you know, somebody to put us at ease like he does, because he does.
Right.
Like he comes on the scene and you're like, okay, I can do this, you know. Yeah. But yeah, he's a character. Just the whole experience, you know, if anybody is afraid, you know, do it. You know, if you've ever thought about doing it, do it. Like just even the whole experience getting to the show was just great time.
I have always wanted to voice my opinion about this. I know Vanna White does other things on the show and everything, behind the scenes and everything. But to me, visually, Vanna White has the easiest job in the world. I mean,
she does. All she does is push buttons. That's all she does.
Yep. And what does she do for it?
Yep.
And what?
Yeah. What's funny is during those commercial breaks, I mean, because you forget that it's global. And so like they film commercials we don't even see.
Right.
Where like in between during the commercial break, like Vanna and Pat are over here, like, you know, doing a commercial that's like going to air in Brazil or something like that. So, you know, I think she's a lot of the promo, and, you know, let's face it, when the show started, it was like an eye candy thing. You know what I mean?
It still is. Yeah. Everything always will be.
Yeah.
A man and a beautiful woman is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do without either one.
Like I said, without makeup, I mean, she is just a natural beauty. I about fell over because I finally, you know, and a woman never tells her age, but she's a celebrity, so you can find out. I about fell over when I saw that, you know, she was in her late 60s. I was just like,
really?
I think she is. Yeah. I can't remember, but she, you know, defies her age. Just like she looks like she's in her 40s. It's just ridiculous. She's beautiful.
Wow, Alex, why can't you look that beautiful?
Yeah, I think every woman in the world want to be Vanna White. Get a job. I mean, to get paid like that for basically what I see, or maybe the public we see as doing basically nothing.
Well, and she had a different dress and different shoes for every single show. For how long?
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was and you know, honestly, the people that run that show, that's also kind of the, you know, thing that those people are not upset. Like you want to talk about the happiest bunch of people that love their job. I mean, they are in it for the long haul. They love what they do. They wouldn't see themselves doing anything else.
Right.
Well, you know, I was talking to my dad today too, or not today, but you know, I was like, you know, I find it so weird that you have to pay for your flight and hotel. You know, it's a TV show and they want you to come to LA for it, you know, but you have to pay for your flights and your board and they don't pay for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and the
Yeah.
paperwork, you should see when they do send you your packet. I mean, the paperwork they send you, like, well, I mean, number one, it's kind of a rule book of like stupid things people have done to be on the show, basically. Where it says flat out, like, if we call you to do a show and you cannot afford this, or it will put your family in financial strain, please tell us you can't come at this time. Because just if they call you for to film and you can't go, you can
Yeah.
tell them, oh, I can't. They just put you back in the hopper.
Oh,
You could be good, like literally, you could make it on the show and not be on the show for 18 months.
wow.
So it's they basically put them in a hopper and they pick out like whoever they want to do those filmings with. And like when they first called me, I was going to be on vacation in Hawaii.
Right.
I mean, I'm in Hawaii, like, so
Right.
and I got lucky. I thought, oh great, I probably won't be on it now for like 6 months because I had to tell them no. And they called me like in Hawaii. They called me. Yeah, for a second.
Oh,
And
that's
I
amazing.
knew that one.
Yeah.
The fact that my parents lived there, it was, it wasn't terrible. It was like $150 for the flight, but I didn't have to get a hotel, and I didn't have to feed myself.
Right.
For me, it was like a cool little mini trip with my mom and dad. And my mom and dad just like, they've watched that show since its inception. It's part of their like routine in the evening. They were so thrilled to be there and watch a tape. They watched that show with a whole new different appreciation the whole day too while we were taping. They were there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, if you were coming from, wanted to bring out your family, it get pricey, because the other thing is they can also call you, like, they don't do those shows as much, but they used to do shows in like Hawaii or Vegas. If they called you for a taping, you have to fly yourself to Hawaii and get room and board. So I was, I wouldn't have been able to afford that.
Right. Right.
But no, it's funny. The paperwork is just, if you're pregnant, your baby means more. Don't be trying to come out here 9 months pregnant.
Absolutely.
So that means some pregnant woman came out probably when while they were taping.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, you got any more questions?
I at this point, I don't. I had I guess one thing is this. One thing I wanted to say is, do you have any ambitions to be on any other game shows, TV shows, or?
And now that I've done it, I think I would. Jeopardy, I just think would be real
Way
difficult.
too hard.
Way too hard, because like it's like
Yeah.
I'm either or. I'm either really hot on Jeopardy or like, and I'm like, I don't know any of that. But what's really funny is there's a new show on that it just seems like it would be a lot of fun, and you can win like 25 grand. It's the Hot Ones show where they eat the hot wings and they have to answer trivia questions. But because you've eaten such hot, like when you eat super, super, super spicy food, it messes with your brain. Like your eyes water, you start to hallucinate, like you can't put sentences together. And it's a quick show, but you have to eat these fiery, hot, gnarly wings. And then at the very end, if you and your partner get through it, you can get 25 grand. And I'm like, burn your mouth for 25 grand? That might be kind of fun. And it's kind of fun media. I've watched it a couple times. I seem to know most of those shows, but yeah.
Any thought on like Price is Right or Let's Make a Deal?
That Price is Right. I actually, we went, living in California, we actually used to go out as like a fundraiser for our swim team. We would go to Price is Right. I would totally do something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
Fairfax
in Beverly, right there.
Yep.
Yes, doing well.
I think they're bringing back Press Your Luck, and that was one of my favorite shows when I was growing up. Press Your Luck, no whammies, stop, and it's like, it's just a fast-paced game, and so yeah, now that I've done it, I would absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's next for you now? Since you got a little time strain here, but what's next for you after this whole pandemic ordeal?
I'm hoping we'll get some semblance of a swim team together.
There you
and like
go.
I said, I'm in school right now for EMT because I'm looking toward possibly bridging over to a second career as a paramedic. So, it's time to start the next chapter.
Yes.
So, you know, trying to get all that done in the next couple of years and coaching and, you know, just living the good life.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I think we're in the start the next chapter's phase of the world, actually.
I agree with that. I
We're
agree
in a
with that.
situation where we're forced to start a new chapter.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, Robyn, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for being on with us today. It's appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. This was great. I had a
You
really
are
good time.
exciting. I didn't think a swimming coach could be exciting. You know, being exciting.
Because honestly, when I was talking to my friend, I'm like, I don't know what. I'm like, I hope it's good because it's just
You know,
swimming.
I gotta say, I was before you came on. I mentioned it to Kyle. I said, "What are we gonna talk about swimming? I mean, it's swimming. I can't swim.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna talk about? What am I gonna say?"
Well, and I was worried. I'm like, I hope they don't ask me about like up and coming swimmers. Like, I kind of only pay attention every 4 years.
What about up and coming? That's a good question, Kyle. What about up and coming swimmers?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so amazing. I was saying to myself, I just don't know what I'm going to say about swimming. I can't swim, you know, but you have made it exciting.
Oh, thank
Trust
you.
me, you really made it exciting, and you are downright wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate it.
All
Really
right. Thank you. No, I had a great time. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me.
extraordinarily thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Kyle.
You're welcome.
Yes, stay safe.
All right. You too. You guys stay safe. Be healthy.
Will
God
do.
bless.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye. Bye.
Monday with Live and Kyle with Alex, we have the fat veteran comedian Josh Shinobi with us. So tune in on YouTube Monday night at 7 p.m. with Live and Kyle and Alex.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for watching.